Hello, welcome to Code and Box Automation Lab. This is Sherful. In this video, we're going to discover the roadmap to pass Professional Scrum Certification 1 exam. We'll deep dive few key points such as why do you need certification, exam preparation guide, and finally the exam tips and tricks. Let's go. So why do we need certification? So certification is the process to validate the depth of your knowledge about a subject matter. As I have been working in Agile, it's been the last 5 years, and I have been seeing different companies are practicing Agile in different way. There is no problem on this as long as it's does not change the three main Scrum pillar like transparency, inspection, and adoption, as well as 5 core values of the Scrum. So when I see those values are not the same according to different companies, that makes confusion. That's rise confusion to me, and it motivates to me to read the actual Scrum guide, do more study, and eventually go for the certification. So PSM, or Professional Scrum Master, is the most meritorious certification of all the certified Scrum. So when you have a certification, this kind of certification, indeed it adds a value to your profile, which increase your acceptance in the industry. So PSM assessment requires good knowledge of the original version of Scrum, and its passes requirements are high, like 85%. Such strained criteria provide more strength and teeth on its certification than the other certification provide in the marketplace. So the assessment can be taken from anywhere with a computer and internet connection. Once you acquire the certification, you don't need to renew, unlike other certification. So personally, you may, this is my personal note, you may have certification without a real life experience. It doesn't make you real subject matter expert. Trust me, in Agile, it's all about how you apply in real life following the Agile guide. It is a dynamic framework, right? So you can include some techniques, some process, but as long as you know the whole concept very well. So you must have, or you must need, the real life experience beside your certification. So next is exam preparation guide. So what would be the the guide or roadmap so that you're prepared properly for your exam? So here is some key points as per my point of view. Number 1, get the Scrum guide. So first and foremost, get the latest Scrum guide from scrum.org. So let me show you the scrum.org site. So this is the scrum.org site. You will easily find their scrum.org. You can easily find their guide. You can see Scrum guide. You can over here. Then it will take you to, you can download it or you can have a soft copy. This is more like 13 to 15 pages. So download it or print it. So I would prefer print copy. Go through it line by line, even though you have few years Agile experience. Highlight those important points that you have confusion or had wrong concept over the years. Make some notes based on the research or your own easy explanation why the answer like that or the other way. Remember the Scrum guide, maybe it's, as I said, it's 13 to 15 pages, but don't underestimate its weight and value. It's carry lots of value. In fact, based on this guide, all the Scrum process methods, techniques is there. some of the lines, it's very simple line, but it has a long meaning explanation. So please go through the guide. Next is Scrum glossary. So again, let me show you Scrum. They have their own glossary. You can see it's a Scrum glossary. It's another couple of pages. So I would say go through this Scrum glossary too. It really makes the idea more clear in regards Scrum different components, definition, artifact, and so on. So again, you can find it on scrum.org as I just showed you. If you feel you need more training, if you are like first time doing agile without any experience, you may need training. So you can find lots of workshop training, 1 or 4 or a couple of days. Definitely it will cost you some money. In fact, scrum.org, they provide some training too. So if you go again scrum.org, the site, you will find some training from their own expert, through their own expert. But it will definitely cost you some money. Or check on online like Udemy, find some good tutorial. There's a tons of good tutorial over there. It's very cheap, $13 to $15. So you can find some tutorial and go through it, right? And if you really knew or need overall to understand the Scrum concept, really and the different events is related with the Scrum, I have a link below where I demonstrated Scrum framework in details from scratch using Jira tool. So using the Jira tools, started, what is a Scrum, then we created some sprint, and then we created some tasks, and then we opened the sprint board, and then we explain that how the tasks move on from to do to in progress or done state, and all other like at the end, like the review meetings. So there is a retro. So everything I explain, as well as show the demonstration through the tool. So it will really help you and visualize you, will draw you the whole Scrum concept. I mean, it is good for who doesn't have real Scrum or Agile, the concept, or you never worked on this. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Oh, there is one more. Okay, find training or online course, as I said, right? So as I said, right, find some materials like definitely you're beside your Scrum guide first, and then a Scrum glossary, and some outsource some training or online materials. Okay, so next is go for mock test and open assessment. So we all know the practice makes perfect. So mock test or preparation test is one of the most important part to pass the test successfully. Then how mock test can help you? Number 1, it helps to develop the right strategy. So you will make after you do some mock test or open assessment, you will able to find your own strategy. What is the right strategy? What you did the last time. It helps you to learn new technique to solve the problem. So you are the best person to know what's your problem and how to solve your problem. But how are you going to discover that things? It is through the mock test. Then it will also let you understand the time management. It is a very important part to improve, to control your time during the exam, because as it is 80 questions and your time is 60 minutes. So you will have near about 40 to 50 seconds per questions. And also the real test, to load the one exam to another exam, another one question to another question, it takes near about 3 seconds. This is the way it's on a Scrum side. the test is happen on online. So if you have 80 questions and it takes 3 seconds to load each question, so it's almost 2.5 minutes is gone to load the question. So its time is very important over here. Okay, so it will give you more confidence to and control how you can manage your time through the mock test, and it will help you practice and preparation. So you will define, you will realize, do you need more practice and more preparation before you go for the final exam, and you will able to verify that through the mock test. And also it will allow you to analyze your post exam. So when exam is done, those mock tests is done, you can analyze your like the wrong answer you made, right? You can go through this wrong answer, and then you can find out, you can do some analysis, what was the wrong, why you wouldn't able to choose the right answer. You can search on online and find out the right answer, or all the sources, and try to analyze and understand it. Don't try to memorize, please. It is not the memorizing things, it is all about the understand the concept. And as I said, scrum.org, let me show you the site again. They have assessment. This is the online assessment. It's definitely you want to go through this. I have a video here. Is you can see it is a 30 questions. It's not a full 80 questions, it's a 30 questions for 30 minutes, and it's a pass, but its pass is 85%. Okay, so I have another video. You can find the link below in description. When I did the live test on my earlier assessment, so the beginning of when I think I'm going to for the test, I went for, since I have experience, so I didn't spend that much time to read all the guides. I went directly for the assessment to see this, where I am, how confident I am, how much I know. So I couldn't score like 100%, but it was a pass, more than enough to pass. I think it's near about 92 or 93%. So check that video, that it will drive through you that how I pass that and answer all the questions within a time limit. And in addition, you can find tons of mock tests on online. Okay, example, this is one of the sites that I also test, I also checked. So you can find there is lots of resources online that shows the mock, you can do the mock test, just to make sure those are recent and up to date, as lots of old resources doesn't match with the latest Scrum guide, because Scrum they also change, update their guideline. So you have to make sure the resource or the test you're going through, those are up to date based on the latest Scrum guide, right? So it's the last Scrum guide, it's a Scrum guide 2020. So if there is a resource or mock test you are going through, it's based on 2017, some of the things will not match and you will learn the wrong things. So make sure your resource is up to date. Okay, so check below some of the trustful mock test resource that can build your confidence. So let's go to the next one. So next one, final exam tips and tricks. So you are read enough, you did the mock test, all those things, and you are now good to go for the exam. So what would be the tips and tricks for your exam? Let's see. So the first one is here we're going to talk exactly what do we need to do in order to pass the exam confidently. So I'm going to share some of my own tips and tricks that I followed during the exam, which brought me success, or just right before the exam, and then move to the exam. So after number one, after I complete the Scrum guide, glossary training, retake, the open assessment, and keep doing. So first you took some mock test and assessment. And if you don't pass the open assessment from the Scrum like 100%, I would say retake it, and until you get the 100%. Make sure you get it's not that difficult, it's just only 30 questions. You should get 100%. So when you get 100%, this is, that's what I followed. I didn't go for the exam until I get 100% on the assessment. And it's, I think I had to just take twice. The first time I took it was like 93 probably, and the next time I made it 100%. So retake the open assessment if you don't score the 100% or until you get the 100%. Number 2, redo the mock test if you score, like in the previous slide we explained about the mock test, right? So if those mock tests you score below 95%, probably you passed, right? You passed, like if it's 85%, you will be passed. But if it's below 95%, I would say redo the mock test again, as long or until you score 95%. My advice, don't use the Scrum Guide, Google, or any other materials during the mock test, because this is your final mock test. You are doing the retesting, redoing your mock test before you go for the final exam. So redo your mock test until you get 95%. Put extra focus on your exam time during the mock test so that you have more control on your time management. I explained before again, because trust me, time is one of the most important reasons why lots of people they failed on actual exam. Mostly you will get run out of your time during the real exam, because it's in the real exam you will be on pressure, right, finding the right answer, and also you have to, your mind will be always, there is a, the time is you're losing the time. So both things makes people some more pressure, and as a result a lot of people they fail. So you have to control your time. So try to finish your mock test earlier and have like 5 to 10 minutes left on your hand. Do again and again until you have more control on your time. Okay, so next is, now after you improve your time management, your retake, your open assessment is good, you score 100%, your mock test is 95%. Now it's time to register for real exam. So you can do it through scrum.org. Definitely you have to open an account, and you can buy the placement. It's very simple, but it will cost you $150 and a matter of few minutes. After you complete the registration, you will get an confirmation email with a long password. So keep that email, because you will need that password, the long password, to active your exam. Okay, so you registered and you're good to go for the exam. So take your exam in a comfort duration. It means you can start your exam anytime, but find the most energetic and peaceful time suit for you. If you are a morning person, then go for the morning time. If you are a night person, go for the late night when it's very quiet, your environment. Okay, it really depends on you, but find a quiet room with a better internet connection. Better not to use your office laptop, cause the site can be blocked anytime by the firewall. So maybe in the middle of the exam, the site gets blocked, and you will lose your time. So it's use your personal computer. That's what I would say. Next, read each, and so you find your time and you are on exam. So during the exam, okay, read each and every question carefully to understand the full meaning, especially with the words like can, must, may can change the meaning and your answer too. Also make sure you have read all the answer before choosing the desired one, maybe it's a very familiar questions, you know the answer, you jump on the right of the answer. So please spend it will take a couple of more seconds to read the rest of the answer. Make sure you read the rest of the answer, but because one word will change the meaning of the answer, and you will choose the wrong one. So read all the answer, even though you go a little bit faster, but just do a scan. Be careful with the question not with the containing not. So not, when it's a question have a not word, so be careful, because some questions ask, for example, like which of the following is not a characteristics. So and people they forget about that not and then pick the wrong answer. So very careful when you see the not, and you will see some of the questions that they're looking for the multiple answers, like 2 or 3, choose the 2 or 3. So a lot of people, they just read the answer and they forget it, like it's the right answer is 2 or 3, so they just choose the 1. So there will be no partial marking, so it will be incorrect. So please careful those things, right? And don't spend too much time to one uncertain question. Rather, do your best guess and flag the question or write on a piece of paper the question number, so that you can review at the end of the exam if you can save some time. Okay, so but don't put more than 5 to 7 question in your review list, because for sure you won't get enough time to review all of them. You can make a flag, so when you see the questions, you can make a flag, but don't make a huge list, so you think like, okay, at the end I will come back and I will review all of them. It's not gonna happen. You'll not get that much time. So it shouldn't be more than 5 to 7 questions, so that you have on your review list. Get the right answer on your first try. Don't look into the Scrum guide or Google, but this is another important thing. Okay, don't look on your Scrum guide or Google from the beginning of your test. Even though it's an open test, you can read, you can have any resource, but don't have the habit to look your Google the Scrum guide or search on online from the beginning of your test. It will kill and consume more time for uncertain question, whereas you will not have enough time to answer all the question, and probably you will miss few easy answer at the very end. So as a result, it will lead you to fail. I would recommend keep handy Scrum guide, glossary, or Google for reviewing time if you can save few minutes at the end. All these tips and tricks you can apply and earn through the mock test. That's why mock test is very important. So study first, try to understand the Scrum concept, not memorize. Do the mock and open test or open assessment, and then finally go for the real exam. Wish you all the best. Please comment below if my tips and tricks help you, or what do you feel after you pass the exam, or your own tips that worked for you and can help others. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Bye bye.